Hello, I'm John Patullo, a retired educator. Welcome to a forum of candidates running to become the mayor of Brentwood. Today's forum is sponsored by the Contra Costa County Elections Division, Contra Costa TV, and the League of Women Voters of Diablo Valley and West Contra Costa. We are holding this roundtable via Zoom and taping it in the CCTV studio. Please note that the candidates' names that appear on screen may include their campaign email addresses in case you wish to contact them. The candidates for this office are Joel Bryant, Edward Shuck, Ryan Raimondi, Karen Rary, Steve Young, Paul LaFollette, and Brian Carlton were unable to attend. We will begin the forum by asking questions for each candidate to answer. While the time is not monitored, please be mindful of the length of your answer, as we want to give all candidates the opportunity to tell the voters their thoughts and platforms. So let's begin with the questions. All right, we will go in that order, and we will start with Joel. If elected, what would your top priority be?
If elected, my top priority would be the public safety of our community, with maintaining our level of police services and increasing, as well as providing additional fire protection resources for our community. And that, at this point, is my top priority, almost equal to bringing high-paying new jobs to the community.
All right. Next will be Edward.
Certainly. So I'm going to sound very similar to Mr. Bryant's answer. Public safety is my number one priority. I am a 10-year law enforcement veteran, and I am 100% supportive of our local police force. I very much want to see an increase to our local fire services. I think that there are some serious issues with the amount of fire protection we have. And as a final issue, I would mention infrastructure and really addressing some of the problems and challenges we have as a community regarding building and additional construction going forward.
All right. Ryan, you're next.
So you'll notice that all of us have a similar platform, because those are the issues facing Brentwood. But increased fire and emergency services is number one. Everything falls after that. You can't address anything else unless that problem is addressed. And that comes, once you address the issue and you solve it, that's when you can begin to look into creating a more business-friendly model, and being a little bit more accommodating to nonprofits. So everything falls after that.
All right. And Karen.
Sorry, I would have to say the same. We are faced with a deficit in our fire, and so we need to continue to work towards that. We have made bright strides in the last couple of years by bringing on community facility districts, assessments, and also increased fire protection developer impact fees, which will help to not only fund the staffing of 3 new stations, but also it will help to build those 3 new stations. And economic development, while it falls below that, as we bring in economic development, it will also help to increase those tax dollars, which should give us more funding to help to provide for fire. And I think working with the county and Oakley and the fire district to try to come together to make a difference in this is our number one priority.
Thank you. The next question, we'll do this in the same order. What are your thoughts about the current budget and financial status?
Well, the current budget and financial status of Brentwood is very sound. We have worked very hard for many years on council to protect our general fund. We have 30% reserves that have come in very helpful during these times to help provide some relief financially for our residents and our small businesses in our community that are suffering tremendously during this COVID-19 shutdown that the state of California is in. But financially, we have a 10-year view that we keep on top of daily, but we have a business plan and model for our tax revenues that foresee us in the black for the next 10 years and safely out to 20 years. We have a plan to make sure that our finances are solid for our community.
All right, next will be Edward.
So I think that our financial situation in Brentwood has been very positive for the last several years. I have a couple of very serious concerns related to that. Concern number one is that COVID-19 is going to impact the budget going forward, and we need to be very cautious about our spending and where we are choosing to spend our dollars, as there is going to be an impact on the city budget. Second, I cannot say this strongly enough. Our budget has been strong, but where have we been spending it? There need to be increases to our police force. There need to be serious increases to our fire protection. And while several of the other candidates have mentioned some things that have been done, clearly it has not been enough at this point to say that we have fully accomplished those goals. So I do think that even if our budget is in a positive space, I think we need to be very, very serious about having a conversation as to where we spend those dollars so that we are addressing the public safety issues that are threatening our community.
Thank you. Next will be Ryan.
Absolutely. Brentwood has been known as a financially conservative city, and it's done an incredible job. Gary Breen, the treasurer of the city, is a genius, and he's done a great job. And with that being said, one of the patterns in Brentwood has been relying on developer fees. And we've done that for a very long time. We've done it for over 2 decades. And what you see now with the less space in Brentwood is the rezoning of commercial zones into residential ones. So while our budget is sound at the moment, it is important to consider where we are moving forward and exactly where our priorities are, which is no longer in residential development. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and Karen.
Yes, we have been very conservative with our budget. We do have our 30% reserves. We do have a budget stabilization fund, which we will be using to pay down the retirement for our employees. And also we will have we will have to work on economic development, because if we don't start bringing jobs to this, and I'm not talking minimum wage jobs, I'm talking about high quality, high wage jobs to this area, then we are going to be hurting in the future. While we may be fiscally sustainable for the next 10 years, unless we start having the jobs coming to our area, we won't be fiscally sustainable past that period. And we will have to start cutting back. And we found, or studies have found, that people shop where they work, they return where they live. And that means that our tax dollars are going outside of our area to wherever the people are working at. And if we can bring those jobs back into Brentwood, then we can start getting all of those tax dollars that are being spent during the day as people go out for lunch and as people go out for to go shopping after work or go out for entertainment after work. All those tax dollars will help to increase our budget and help us to become fiscally sustainable.
Okay. For the third question, what do you see as the primary work of the council? Starting with Joel.
The primary work of the council is to listen to the community, to make sure that the vision of the whole community can be comprehensively attained working together. And by doing so, we are watching our finances. We're looking to the future for sustainability. The quality of life in Brentwood is very well known. It's one of the main reasons that people move to Brentwood. And it's the job of the city council to keep the quality of life sustainable. It's our job to bring in these high-paying businesses by creating the infrastructure and resources that make Brentwood attractive. And it's to listen to the community. That's our 3 top priorities.
All right. Same question for Edward.
Sure. So the primary job of any government agency should be the protection of its citizens, their property, and their liberty. As City Council, our job locally is to make sure that the citizenry here is provided a safe and prosperous place to live. I think that many of the things that Mr. Bryant just said are absolutely true, but I would bring the focus back to ultimately keeping the population in an environment where they are going to be able to wake up and walk down the street and not have to worry about crime and drugs and homelessness and things that are going to impact their day-to-day lives. I think that is the primary job of the City Council, and everything else has to come after that.
All right. Ryan.
The council's job is to serve, and that is the number one thing, is to serve the people you're representing. I mean, that's a primary reason why I got involved. I have a passion to serve others. And so in reality, while you might be the leader of the city, you are far from being the boss. And so the constituents, the people that elected you, are the ones that you must represent, the ones that you serve. And so at the end of the day, that is what the council is intended to do. That's always what they're going to do, is to protect the residents, serve the residents, and understand what they want, and not simply listen, but also apply. So absolutely appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. And now Karen.
The priorities of a council is first and foremost to listen to what the residents want. And I started doing coffees with Karen over a year ago, actually January of 2019. And I started doing them because I wanted to find out what the concerns were from the community. I wanted to be able to sit down in a very casual atmosphere and be able to talk to them one-on-one or in groups of people, answer questions that they have, take down the concerns they have, help to address those concerns. And because of that, I have made a difference in our community by listening to what their needs and wants are. And that's what I plan on doing going forward. I've been able to help to reduce blight in our city by having increased code enforcement for vacated buildings. I've been working with a local neighborhood in order to get an area of their community landscaped and maintained, which was previously being maintained by the golf course. They, of course, are going to be taking that under they will be able to vote on that very shortly and decide whether or not they want to pay for the cost to do that. But, it's listening to the community and being available to them, answering their phone calls, returning their emails. All of those things are vital if you are going to truly represent the people of your community.
All right, thank you. For the final question, and you've all touched on this regarding talking with the community, being in contact with the community. Could you maybe expand on how you are going to do that as to what kind of a relationship should the council have with the community of the size, proportions of Brentwood? How would you address those things? And here again, start in the same order, we'll go with Joel.
Well, being a current member of the Brentwood Police Department as their senior chaplain, and I've been with them for 15 years, I very regularly, on a weekly basis, sometimes every day of the week, I'm out in the streets, on the scene, during accidents, during rush hours, during midnight hours, physically spending time with the residents and with the police officers. So I am very one-on-one, hands-on, aware of the concerns and the benefits that the police department brings to the community. In addition to that, I work here in town. My office is in town, and it allows me to spend a lot of time answering phone calls and being in the streets and going to the events that the community is concerned with, but also just hanging out with places that like coffee shops and ice cream shops and the grocery store, and spending time one-on-one with the people that I live with. I am a resident here. They're my neighbors. They're my friends. They're the people that I work for. And so that is how I am available, in addition to having the ability for them to call into the city, and I answer all my emails personally. I don't have a staff other than city staff. My staff is my cell phone. And so they call me, and we get together and spend time face-to-face answering their concerns. That's how I do it.
All right.
We'll continue.
Thank you. Edward.
Certainly. So I think that the key is to be available and transparent. My email address, my phone number, my contact information are available for anyone who wants them. And I am more than happy to discuss issues, whether they are big or small, with residents of Brentwood at any time. I take my children for a walk through the park almost every night in downtown Brentwood here, and I'm proud to say that I am able to talk to people one-on-one over social media and through email daily. I also spend a lot of time at the local farmers market, walking around, talking about the campaign and issues that are important to people locally. And lastly, I worked for quite some time at Liberty High School as the on-campus deputy probation officer there, talking to kids, talking to their families, talking to teachers and the principal. And I feel that it's critically important that we have an open and completely honest conversation about what our community needs in order to serve the people of Brentwood.
All right. Next will be Ryan.
So the first thing to understand, the critical thing to understand, is nothing that you're doing is about you, and it's only about others. And so being accessible to others, and not to explain to them your ideas, but just simply sit down and listen. And so whether that be organizing a roundtable discussion, or being at the farmers market, or organizing some sort of a cleanup event, which I've done in the past, being there in the community and not simply watching it from a seat. And so being accessible, having your cell phone available, having your email available, those are all crucial things. But more than anything, it's actively being out there and being within the system. And so, I'm a part of the school system in Brentwood. I speak to families. I've grown up in the community, and so I've seen this community grow, and I've seen so many people grow as well. And that's a blessing in my life, and that's something that I hope to apply and be able to hear the community in that way.
All right. And Karen.
Well, I think I covered part of this in my last discussion, and that was to continue to do my coffees with Karen. They have been very well attended. I am also very active on social media, both on Nextdoor and Facebook, a little bit on Instagram and Twitter, but more so on Facebook and Nextdoor. I'm constantly letting the people know, or our residents know, what's coming up on the agenda, what items they might be interested in. I'm the only council member who consistently, when COVID came out, got on and let the residents know what the health updates were from the county, and what different types of financial assistance was available to residents and small businesses. I help people to be able to get their unemployment when they are having difficulty getting through to the unemployment office by working with the senator's office. And it's important that we continue to let residents know that we are here, we're available, that we will make a difference. And that is going to be the most important thing for us, is to be able to be accessible. And I will continue to do that.
All right. We've got just a little over a minute here, and I have another question I'd like to address to all of you, kind of, as they said, kind of a lightning round. And we will start with Joel. Accessibility. How accessible are you going to be? You've got 15 seconds.
I am accessible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week currently, and that will continue.
All right. Are you doing that through social media?
Through social media and through my cell phone, with the police department, with the city number. They can get hold of me anytime.
All right. Edward, we'll go to you with the same question. Accessibility.
Sorry, you can reach me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, by phone, or by email anytime. I am happy to talk to anyone who wants to have a discussion about something that's important in Brentwood. I would love to hear from you.
All right. And now we'll go to Ryan.
Whether it be 2 a.m. or 12 p.m., I'm always available, and I'm always up. I don't sleep much. So text me, call me, use social media, anything you need.
All right. So you will be putting your personal cell phone, whatever, out through social media?
It's all public. Yeah.
All right. And lastly, we'll go to Karen.
Well, I'm already all over social media, and my cell phone number is out there to the public. My email's out there. I have been accessible far more so than many of the council members are on our council at the current time, and I'll continue to do that.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for our candidates for answering these questions. Each of them will now have 2 minutes to make a closing statement. This will begin with, again, in the reverse order now. Karen, you will go first, and your 2 minutes will start when the little green card comes up.
I'm Karen Rary. I've been the voice of the people in our community, and I'm the right choice for mayor. I'm honored and humbled to have dedicated nearly 4 years serving our community on Brentwood City Council. As we maneuver through this sectional time in history, I know we have an amazing opportunity to transform Brentwood to the charming, safe, diverse, and economically thriving city it is destined to be. I believe quality of life in Brentwood means quality jobs, increased fire protection, improved public safety, and smart growth. My commitment is to cultivate a climate that encourages economic development by partnering with our neighboring cities to attract companies to our region, working with the governor's Go Biz team to identify companies for Brentwood, and working with our local businesses to not only help them recover from COVID-related losses, but to also help them grow. My pledge is to continue to focus on increased fire protection by identifying sound, long-term solutions to budget shortfalls, which includes working with the Oakley and county. I also pledge to continue to fight to improve public safety, both here in Brentwood and at the state level as a public safety policy committee member. My guarantee is I will continue listening to the community and city staff to create smart growth goals for Brentwood, mitigate challenges that come with expansion, and preserve the agricultural land surrounding us. Brentwood is where I've raised my family and the city I'm proud to call home. I know Brentwood. I understand the people of Brentwood, and I'm working toward our shared vision. Today, I ask for your support and your vote on November 3rd. Together, we can build a better Brentwood. And remember, I am Karen Rary, the voice of Brentwood, and the right choice for mayor.
Thank you. Next, we'll start with Ryan.
My name is Ryan Ramondi, and when I tell you this has been one of the most rewarding experiences of my life, the relationships and the community connections which I have established in the last several months are truly a blessing. And that's exactly what I set out to do when I began this journey, build relationships. And so whether those range from vice president of the Senior Citizen Club, a member of the school board, or simply a past elected official, whatever it might be, I've created relationships in so many different parts of our diverse community, and I'm so grateful for it. And ideas are great; they're great, but they're simply ideas if the community is not behind you. And so that is why I'm energetic. I'm excited to begin working with council members and community leaders to bring a fresh, new perspective to Brentwood, and that I want to touch on that, and that is what I'm offering residents. Brentwood has not had the option of something new in over a decade, well over a decade. And so I'm giving them that option. I understand there might be a level of uncertainty that comes with something new, but we're living in the most uncertain of times. And so everyone on this panel can agree that there's no way of telling the future. And we're on an equal playing field on that note. We simply don't know what's going to come next. And so I don't have the preconceived notion that, I am a clean slate and I'm willing to adapt to the future. There's so much potential in this community. And in the little time I've been able to be an active leader in it, I've managed to energize the young vote and bring national attention to Brentwood. And I simply like you to consider what we can do if I'm elected. And so I appreciate your time. And I am asking you for real. My name's Ryan Ramondi. Thank you so much.
All right. Edward.
So my name's Edward Shuck, and I want to tell you my story. My wife and I grew up here in Contra Costa County. Over the past 30 years, we've watched as local cities grew from small rural towns into communities struggling with urbanization, poverty, crime, and drugs. As our own family grew, we went looking for a community where we could feel safe raising our children and still afford to live. We found Brentwood. The clean streets, beautiful parks, lower crime rates, and friendly people make Brentwood the place we chose to call home. To our dismay, Brentwood is now struggling with many of the same concerns as the rest of the Bay Area. As a 10-year law enforcement veteran, I have watched as crime has seeped into Brentwood from surrounding communities. During my time working at Liberty High School as the on-campus probation officer, I witnessed firsthand how our schools have been impacted by gang violence. I've also noticed as the homeless population has increased in our parks every night when I take my children for walks in the evenings. Most recently, we have all seen the devastating wildfires coming closer and closer to our homes and businesses, putting our critically understaffed firefighters at risk and asking them to brave deadly hazards without the resources they need to protect us. I decided to run for mayor because I did not see a strong conservative Republican in the race. I am asking for your vote to keep our city safe, clean, and family focused so that our children and grandchildren can have the same opportunities that we have had to build a great life here. A vote for me is a vote to support our local police. A vote for me is a vote to restore and increase our fire protection services. A vote for me is a vote to send a message to City Council that their inability to fully fund our police, fire, and emergency services will no longer be tolerated. For this year's election, I challenge you to look strongly at the running candidates, not at their promises, but on their record and demonstrated actions. I have served the community for over 10 years as a sworn peace officer, and I will make one promise to you today, to work tirelessly for the citizens and businesses in our great city. Thank you.
Thank you, Edward. And now, Joel.
Well, my name is Joel Bryant, and I'm asking for you to vote for me for mayor. I have been on the city council for 10 years, many of those years as the vice mayor and current vice mayor. I don't believe that we need to wait for the next leader to learn on the job, considering the concerns and challenges that we're going to be facing for the next 5 years minimum in this recovery. Some of the things I have done is I brought the police dispatch center to Brentwood so that we have our own 911 calls. Formerly, it was outsourced to the city of Antioch, and oftentimes our residents would call 911 and get no response whatsoever. Now, because of this, when you call 911, you get an answer immediately every time from someone sitting in our community. And so I'm very proud of that. In talking about bringing jobs, that is a top priority for most of us. But what I have done in order to ensure that is I partnered with a company called Sonic that brought fiber optic connectivity into Brentwood, and we're the only city in the East Bay that has this. This is going to enable us to attract these tech jobs that we want, and also enable our residents to eliminate the long commute and spend more time with their families. I also chaired the general plan working group that has provided the general plan that has already protected our community from some unscrupulous developers that want to come in and change the vision that our residents have said they want Brentwood to be. I chaired that committee, as well as I co-chaired the PA1 specific plan that brings commercial high-paying jobs into the area. I've saved over 14,221 acres from development as a chair and member of the Habitat Conservancy of the Contra Costa, East Contra Costa County. And over 988 of those were farm properties in Brentwood that will never have to worry about being developed in perpetuity. I care about the community. I've been on council for 10 years. Please vote for me. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. This concludes our forum of candidates running for Brentwood Mayor on November 3rd. Once again, the candidates are Karen Rary, Ryan Ramondi, Edward Shuck, Joel Bryant, Steve Young, Paul LaFollette, and Brian Carlton. For more information on the candidates, visit votersedge.org. The Elections Division has set up multiple drop-off boxes around the county. For the one nearest you, please visit www.cocovote.us or call the office at 925-335-7800. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to vote by November 3rd. Thank you.